Howdy ho, chickadees. It's Wine and Crime Wednesday. We made it halfway through the week. I do hope you have a fond drink of yours, whether that is alcoholic or non alcoholic, whether it is wine or not wine, or whether you have come here to wine because that Corey Richens trial today, I got some whining to do about that. What in the world? I'm guessing something happened with the court. I don't know. We were there, we weren't there. Then they came back and they were like, yeah, deuces. We're done for the day. What? What? I am glad I did not take the day off work to live stream the Corey Richens trial today because that would have been really disappointing. And I don't do well with disappointment, even though, I mean, it's part of life. I get it. It's part of life. I don't have to like it though. So that was something today. Did not have that one on my bingo card. I hear there are some bingo cards out there for the trial. Wonder if they had that on their bingo card. We, of course, had no court today in Michigan for the Dale Warner trial because they went on a field trip. Color me jealous. I would love to be on that field trip. Thank you very much. If you are new here, if you're just popping in, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. And if you want to become a member, you can do that as well. Subscribing doesn't cost anything at all. And then you have access to super chats and all that fun stuff, in addition to the additional emojis. And we will eventually have some members only live streams that will come down the pike in the future. I have a couple things that are interesting stories to me. So I'm waiting until some of that has some closure and also that we get enough members. We don't want to have a members only and have two people here, me and one other person. That's kind of boring. So just need to boost that membership a little bit, and then we will start doing those members only live streams. I want to thank Kelly, my mod, for being here tonight, holding down the fort. It doesn't look like she had to be driving home for tonight's live stream. So thanks for hanging out. Tell me in the chat what you're drinking. I don't see anyone saying hello or anything, and it could be my computer. And I got some weird weather trying to happen at the Demeanor house. So let's keep our fingers crossed that nothing wicked happens, but you just never know. So if I happen to go like in the middle of this or something, it might be because of some odd weather in the area here that makes my internet go kaput. I am going to refresh a couple screens here to make sure I don't have any issues. Nope, looks like we're in good shape. What else is going on? It looks like they have charged Anna Kepner's stepbrother. Anna Kepner is the young lady that was found deceased under the bed in the Carnival cruise ship. And today I saw that it looks like there is a full-blown investigation, and the grand jury was definitely meeting to consider an indictment in the David case. That's David Burke with the 4. Does everybody remember the David case with the body that was found in the frunk of the Tesla in the LA area? It seems they're narrowing down some things in that particular case as well. So I think that's kind of what happened today with everything. I guess it's time to get into it, huh? Let's get into it. I have no idea who this is. This is going to be the second half of day 7. And so we'll get started with this particular witness. Oh, you know what? I have my sound turned off. That is not going to be happy time. Well, I thought I did. One moment. All right.
I do. Thank you. Please.
Good afternoon. Can you please state your full name and spell it for the record?
Dale Sharp, it's Dalesharp.
Where were you employed in April of 2021?
Lenawee County Sheriff's Department.
And are you still with the Lenawee County Sheriff's Department?
That's correct.
What is your title?
Detective.
How long have you been a detective?
16 years.
How long have you worked at the Sheriff's Department in total?
26 years.
Prior to April of 2021, did you know Dee Warner?
Yes.
And how did you know her?
Previous law enforcement contact when I was in uniform.
All right. So how long prior to 2021 would that have been?
Thank you, Disney. Live chat is down for regular text. I don't even know what that means, but oh dear. Oh dear. So do you have to do like funky things or something? I see that your text looks odd, like you had to do weird letters. So thank you for letting me know. I wonder, is it something all across YouTube or is it just me? If you can, let me know. Yeah, I'm not sure what is happening. So we're going to keep going here.
Good 10 years or so.
Okay. What about Dale Warner? Did you know him prior to April of 2021?
Yes, I did.
How did you know him?
Went to school with him.
Were you involved in this case?
Yes.
How were you involved?
I assisted Detective Greca with search warrants, interviewing people, what else, photographing stuff and so forth.
Were you part of a search warrant that was executed April 27th, 2021?
Yes, I was.
Who did you go to the residence with?
Detective Greca.
Hearing that name a
What was
lot
his
now.
role?
He was the lead investigator on it.
What does that mean?
He was in charge of the search warrant and what was going on that day.
So, have you ever executed a search warrant as a detective with the Lenawee County Sheriff's Department?
Thank
Yes,
you,
I have.
Disney.
And how many approximately do you think you've executed?
Several. 10 or more, at least.
And as the lead detective, what types of things would you be in charge of?
Of the scene and what evidence is going to be collected, determining how the search warrant is going to be processed, executed, steps that are going to be taken, make sure the scene is secure, no one can come or go from the scene.
Okay, and so.
And he'd be the person that you would ask for you to go to that person if you had something, hey, this might be of interest, and he would help you he would make the determination if that was of interest or not.
All right. So you discussed securing the scene. What does that mean?
Not letting anyone come or go from the scene. It'd be taped off, or we'd have law enforcement around to try to secure a perimeter.
What happens if somebody's already on the scene?
They would stay there.
Did that happen in this case on April 27th, 2021?
No, it did not.
Okay. What time approximately did you get to the property?
I would say 8:30 or so.
Did you yourself have a body camera on at that time?
No, I did not.
All right. What was your role supposed to be that night?
My role that night was to photograph the buildings and such.
When you arrived at the Munger residence, who was there?
Detective Greca was there. And when I arrived there, I believe Jaron was there.
All right. And who's Jaron?
The son to Dale. And
What's the first thing?
What was that?
Detective Greca does when you arrive on the scene?
He makes contact with two young females at the house.
Do you know if he's on the phone at this point in time?
It appears he is, but I don't know who he's on the phone with.
Did Detective Greca have on a body cam?
Yes.
I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 214.
I got that, Disney. Thank you so
Whatever.
much. And I'm going to leave your
So they
chat up here. For all of you listening, live chat is down for regular text all across YouTube. So it's not something on my end. This is something across the entire platform. So we're going to keep going. It makes it a little more difficult for me because I can't interact with you all. And so that's sad, but we're going to keep on heading down the road here.
Yeah, I was talking to you, and my partner did type up a search warrant. We do have that. I'm standing here with both of your daughters at the front door. I'm sorry, side door. And I'll explain everything to you. We do. It is for the dogs, the drone thing. So basically, we saw earlier. And as of right now, we're not going into the house. Went through there. So it's just a matter of the dogs. It's completely. Let's see. My recorder's going right now. It was the first thing. It's going right now, so the whole thing will be recorded. If you want to come home, you absolutely can. If you don't want to come home, you don't need to. As far as what we're going to do, what is it? Yeah, drones. That's exactly it. Yeah, the dogs. One dog's here already. The other dog is, I think, about 20 minutes out. I just wanted to tell you, obviously, that you're not here. And just like keep you updated. I'm not trying to hide anything from you, but if we come to the prop office, says we come tomorrow, that in the event there's something suspicious or someone doing something.
I just want to interrupt for a second here. I did refresh on my YouTube page, and it did pull everybody's messages in the chat in. So maybe you all need to do that if you do want to chat, because Peppermint PJ was able to chat in there with just regular text. So that you may need to just refresh to be able to do it. We're just having some crazy little bumps on Wine and Crime Wednesday today now, aren't we?
Oh, crap activity, then, how can we say anything? This will shut up the other side of the family. You get that? Well, no, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry. You're 100% right. It will not shut up the other family, but at least I've done everything I can at that point. And you, Yep, and we will, there's paperwork on that, so we will drop, if you're home by then, and it's gonna take a little while, well, over an hour, I'm sure. If you're home, I can give you the paperwork. If you're not home, I can leave it with your daughter. And that's it. If you got any questions, I'll have my phone on the whole time, so just give me a holler, okay? All right, thanks. Yeah, bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He seemed very reluctant to be allowing this. Why?
You see this where I've got the body camera paused?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and who is that?
That is me on the right with the sheriff bulletproof vest on, and Jaren's to my left.
All right,
To the left on the screen.
and at this time, are you guys talking about anything?
Just simple talk. I bring up, I mentioned to him I had been out to the house before, and we were talking about the remodel work, and I was impressed with what they did, change it from an old farmhouse to what it was now.
Okay. And Detective Greca comes down. Does Detective Greca come down and have a conversation with you or Jaren?
With Jaren mainly.
Are you a family member or just, okay, what else? Who's Dale? Okay, all right, thanks. Get rid of this stuff. Good. Yep.
Don't y'all get any fancy ideas? Mr. Demeanor's first language is Spanish, but Ms. Demeanor does not speak Spanish. So other than to say hello, I am unable to read or understand anything. So don't be getting any crazy ideas out there.
I don't want to damage anything, but it is the buildings here, so if it's something like that, yeah. Yeah, great. I'm sorry, Yep. Definitely. Sure, more level.
Can't hear a blessed thing, so it isn't just you.
And where are you located at after Detective Greca places his body camera inside his vehicle?
I would say somewhere near the rear of his vehicle, near mine.
Okay, and who's standing there with you?
Officer Taff or Canine Handler Taff from MSP.
Is there anybody else standing there with you?
Not that I recall.
Okay, were you standing near Detective Greca and Jaron?
Yes, I was close enough where I could hear the conversation.
All right. At some point, does Detective Greca ask Jaron if he knows when his dad will be back?
Yes.
All right, and do you know what his response is?
Objection, hearsay.
I'll withdraw the question.
She's so abrupt.
I'm going to show you people's
Hi. Hello.
Exhibit 81.
Judes. That's in English and it came through. I don't know.
And is that just a still shot from that body camera on 427?
Yes, ma'am.
And the timestamp in the corner is military time, I'm assuming?
Yes.
And it's 20:42:01.
Yes.
So whose vehicle are you directly in front of in that photograph?
Detective Greca's.
Okay. After you speak with Jaron and Detective Greca, what do you do next?
After Kevin finishes his conversation with Jaron, he mentions to me that I should probably start at the mailbox taking photos.
Okay, and who
Kevin says
Okay.
that to me, Detective Greca.
and did you do that?
That's correct.
All right. After, I want you to go ahead and go to that map and show me where the mailbox is on that map. 263. Oh, if you look on the stand, yes, use the pointer, please.
Thank you. I would say it's approximately right here.
Okay,
Oh.
that will extend if you pull it out.
Okay. I'm new with this. I apologize. About right there.
From the mailbox, where did you go take pictures next?
I proceed east along Munger, so I take pictures of the front of the house, and continue on, taking pictures to capture, what I could see from the roadway. Then proceeded on, taking pictures of this building in front of the building, walked up and took kind of a close-up, if you want to call it that.
I'm going to stop you
Sorry.
real quick. When you said you took pictures, are you talking just the front of the building or inside?
Just the front of it.
Okay, go ahead.
Exterior pictures.
Okay, go ahead.
So as I'm walking east, I am taking exterior pictures. Okay, continue on. I want to say this is the area, like the front of their business, Warag or whatever. That's what it's called. So I kind of get off the roadway or get close enough where I could capture that picture showing the sign indicating that's the business area or the office area. Then I proceed up this way. I start taking pictures. I start taking pictures of this, like turning tanks in it. So you can see, I think that's a tank. I can't recall or remember without looking at a picture. And I continue on taking more pictures. Then I proceed this way, like I said. So
I
once
actually
get out
feel like that
here,
was
I
a
take
silo.
Picture this way, picture that way. I got 360 degrees. I'm taking pictures. Then I proceed over to here, to building 7. Same principle, taking pictures of the exterior. Then I enter this building and take pictures of the interior of the building.
Okay. I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 174. What building is that?
Building 7. That's me standing somewhere out here taking a picture inside.
Okay, so this was your photograph that you took on April
Correct.
27th?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sorry.
And did you walk inside that building?
Yes, I did.
People's Exhibit 175. What is
That's
that?
inside. That would be
That is a
me
beat up
inside this
tank.
building on this corner, shooting towards. So if I was standing over in that corner,
Yep.
I'd be shooting a picture towards that corner.
Okay, so you were standing at the east side of
East
the building?
corner, southeast corner.
Okay.
And yes,
And-
this is the spray barn.
We see a tank in this photograph and it
Correct.
looks like it has an 8 on that.
Correct.
Okay, and do you remember that tank in that building?
Yes.
All right. People's Exhibit 176. What is this?
So same, but now I'm walking. I'm a visual guy. Sorry, I apologize. So if I'm at this corner, I'm walking along that wall to that point. Now I'm taking a picture back to where I initially was standing.
Okay, so just the opposite end of that spray barn.
Yes. So that'd be the northeast corner.
People's,
So that'd be like right there,
all right.
that corner.
People's 177.
So then that'd be me. Yeah, that'd be, for some reason, it looks like I made a, yeah, I'm taking another picture. So yeah, I come down to this corner and take this one.
Okay. And again, that's your photograph from April 27th, 2021, correct?
Yes.
People's Exhibit 178. Is that also your photograph?
Yes.
All right.
So now I am standing, like, remember that big bay door that was open? So I'm standing right there shooting towards the west along that wall to capture that entry door from the outside and the stuff that you really can't see from the corner that I shoot from, the picture from.
At some point in time while you're taking photographs, do you make contact with Dale Warner?
Yes, I do.
All right. Tell me about it.
So while I'm taking pictures, Dale is moving a tank. I don't know where the tank is coming from. It's an anhydrous tank, and he puts it in that building.
Okay. And then what does he do?
Then he takes another tank out.
Do you know-
Another anhydrous tank.
Do you know where he put that anhydrous tank that he took out?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Did you notify anybody of this?
Yes.
Okay. Who did you tell?
Detective Greca.
When you were given the task of taking photos, were you also given any other direction?
We were directed besides, no, the only other task or direction I was given is we're told to allow Dale to operate the farm and not interfere with him operating his business at the farm.
When was the last time you had anything to do on the Warner case?
I think when the state police came and got the stuff, I would say, I can't tell you exactly.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
You're welcome.
Detective Sharp, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, ma'am.
Oh, no,
How are you doing
not
this
good.
afternoon?
Thank
Again.
you.
You're very welcome.
So I represent Mr. Warner, and I have just a few questions
catch
for
a
you
break?
this afternoon. When you were assigned to the case with Detective Greca, Were you the lead? Was he the lead, or were you peers?
He was the lead.
He was the lead.
Correct.
Is that the norm, that there's a lead investigator on a case or a lead detective, and then the other people assist where needed?
That's correct.
And you worked on the case with Detective Greca from roughly April, towards the end of April 2021, through when the Michigan State Police took over?
I think when they formed a task force.
Were you involved with the task force?
No, I was not.
Okay, so when the task force came to be, the Lenawee County Sheriff's Department, Michigan State Police, and the FBI?
Yeah, I believe so.
And so once that came to pass, you stepped back?
Correct.
And you worked at the direction of Detective Greca?
Yes.
Now, you indicated that you had had prior contact with Dee Warner. And do you recall why that was?
I believe it was a verbal domestic.
Objection.
Oh.
Let me clarify. It did not involve Mr. Warner, correct?
Oopsie. Whoopsie doopsie. Attorney Shart here kind of stepped in it a little bit right there, because there was a motion in limine that they could not discuss any prior domestic incidences. Interesting.
They weren't. I believe they weren't married at the time.
Okay. It was Ms. Warner and another person?
Or a minor child.
Okay. So I just want to clarify that. So the issue was Ms. Warner and another family member, not Mr. Warner.
Correct.
Thank you. And when you were talking about April 27th, 2021, I want to make sure I understand. So you were photographing Building 7. We've heard that called all kinds of different things, the spray barn, the load barn, but that's what you were photographing, correct?
Correct.
And you were inside the building.
Correct.
And Mr. Warner came in with a machine and put a tank in there, or came in with a vehicle and put a tank in there?
He either came, either as I was exiting the building, we had contact somewhere near that building, either inside or outside. I can't recall which one.
Sure. So inside Building 7 or right out front of Building 7?
Correct.
So he came in with that tank and you were roughly in that vicinity, correct? And you communicated with him?
Yes.
And then he moved it sounds like the rusty tank that was in there, and you're saying he removed that?
He removed the tank. Yes.
Thank you. And then one final sort of little series of questions. You did a number of different things on this case, not just the things that you spoke about here in court today, correct?
Correct.
You were involved in interviews, right?
Yes.
Lots of other searches, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to say yes or no
Yes.
for the record. Everybody does that. Everybody does that. One of the other things that you did was you photographed text messages that Ms. Warner had received and also sent to Terry Nayrink, and that's Terri Nayrink. Is
Yes.
that accurate?
Terry Nayrink. Yes.
And then you also photographed text messages received and sent to Terry Nayrink, Terry, correct?
Husband and wife. Yes.
And that was Terry with the Y. He had been an employee of Ms. Warner's, correct?
Correct.
And then Terry with an I had been his wife, possibly ex-wife at the time.
I think current wife.
Current wife. Okay. Thank you so much. No additional questions.
You're welcome.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
So the part that annoys me about her is it's the thank you. It is so disingenuous, first off, and second off, it's like there's no A in it. She doesn't say thank you. She says thank you. Thank you. It's like it's THNK. Drives me crazy, this woman.
All right, thank you, sir. You are we excusing Detective Sheriff?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't know if the jurors had any questions.
Thank you. Didn't know that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
For you.
If you call Justin Schmidt.
All right, let's zippity-doo-dah past here.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth under penalty for perjury. I do. Okay, we're in MC.
I believe this is witness number 23 for us.
I just ask you to hold on to that just for a second. Okay, okay. Just tell us your name
Justin Schmidt,
and spell it for the record.
JUSTINSCHMIDT.
Okay. And Mr. Schmidt, what do you do for a living?
I am an educator, and I am also a welding engineer for JCS Welding Services.
Oh.
And you say you're in education. What kind of educational job do you have?
I have taught welding and welding related courses for both secondary and post-secondary institutions since about 2010.
Is your education also in welding?
It is. My formal education is from Ferris State University in welding engineering technology, and I have graduate courses in career and technical education through Western Michigan University.
In what years were those degrees?
The welding engineering degree was in 2005, and my studies at Western, I believe, concluded in about 2014.
Okay. And had you been welding even before going into it professionally or going for education?
Yes. I think I first started welding when I was about 12.
Okay. What kind of credentials do you have that relate to welding?
I am a certified welding inspector, CWI, carry that credential, a certified welding educator. I'm also a certified welding inspector for Crown Castle, which is for cell towers.
Okay. And so you go around inspecting and get paid for it?
That's correct.
Okay. And then do you actually teach welding also?
I do. My 9-to-5 job is in education, both secondary and post-secondary.
All right, and let's talk about secondary education. What are you doing in secondary education that relates to welding?
I teach the welding technology program at the LISD Tech Center.
And approximately how many students do you have?
40.
And were some of those students recently in a competition?
They were.
And how did they do?
They did very well. They went to the Skills USA regional competition in Lansing last week, and 6 of the students that we took, 6 out of 15, placed well enough to go on to state competition in April.
Yay, good for them.
Thank you.
Awesome.
What about post-secondary?
Post-secondary, I teach for Jackson College. Again, welding and welding related courses, and have done so since 2012.
Okay. And back to that competition that your students were just in, had you been a judge at any point in that competition or one like it?
Yes, actually, I was a judge for the state finals prior to my students being involved with Skills USA.
Okay. And at the secondary level, can you explain the facility that you teach in?
It is an educational facility. It has both a classroom for theory portion of class and a large laboratory with various pieces of welding equipment, fabrication equipment, automation equipment, that sort of thing.
Okay. So full-time teaching welding, and then part-time you got your own business that you do welding inspections and certifications.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. And can you certify others as certified welders?
Yes, as a CWI, that gives you the credentialing to be able to do that, qualify the individual for a certified welding process.
Okay. You know, I tender Mr. Schmidt as an expert in the inspection, certification, fabrication, and testing of welding, welders and welding.
We'll leave that to the discretion of the court. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I mean, it's Wine and Crime Wednesday. Don't be drinking every time she says thank you.
How did you get involved with
Because
this
you will
case?
be pie-eyed.
I was contacted by the Michigan State Police and asked to do an inspection on a vessel.
Okay. And showing you what's been entered as People's 100. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
I do.
Jillian.
And what is that?
Chat is fixed.
That is
Chat
an
away.
anhydrous ammonia tank on a running gear.
Boy, that looks like a way better condition than
And
the one
number
that they
34,
had.
correct?
Correct.
Is that the one you inspected?
It is.
Okay. How many times?
4 times total.
And
Y'all, I have a thing about numbers. I don't know if anybody has put 2 and 2 together, but John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview, and this particular tank that was used to put Dee's remains in is tank number 34. Come on. There are a lot of numbers in life. This is quite the coinky dink. I'm just saying. I thought of this the other night and it slipped my mind, but yeah, 34 Fairview, tank, anhydrous tank number 34.
what did you do each time, just in general speaking?
The first time went and looked at basically all the welding on the tank. And the second time went back and looked at the inside. A repair weld was seen from the first inspection.
Oh.
Went back the second time and looked at the inside of the tank where the repair weld was. Came back the third time to look at another portion of the tank, and again a fourth time to compare photos with the actual tank.
So you indicated a second ago that there was an obvious repair weld. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And in terms of this photo, do you know where the obvious repair weld was?
The repair weld would be in the rear far left side in this photo of the tank.
Okay. Where I've blown it up?
Correct.
Okay. And then the very first time you saw the tank, was it in this condition or something else?
The very first time I seen it, it was on the running gear like that, but the right-hand side, the domed portion of the tank, the end cap, had been removed.
Okay. So this front end?
Correct.
Okay. How did you determine that the back weld was an obvious repair weld?
Based on there's 3 welds on the tank, 3 factory welds. When it's manufactured, 1 in the center and 1 on each end, adhering the domes to the tank. Comparing the weld at the rear of the tank that was still there with the weld in the center of the tank that was a factory weld, along with visibly looking at the repair weld itself, where you could still see remnants of the factory weld underneath it.
Okay. Let me show you what's been entered as People's 269. Did you take this photograph?
Back we go
I did.
again.
Okay, and why? What is it showing?
This photograph shows the approximate width from toe to toe of the factory weld.
And which factory weld are you looking at?
This is a weld in the center of the tank.
And I don't know, can you, for the jury's benefit, can you read what the width is?
0.811
And that's in what unit?
in inches.
Okay. Then People's 270. That also says 801. Is that a different place?
That is a different spot, correct?
Okay. And again, People's 271, 801, different place?
Correct.
Okay, so did you go, how many readings did you take out of the middle weld, do you think?
I would say probably 10 to 12 readings around.
Okay, and were they all fairly consistent?
They were.
All right. Showing you what's 272.
Oh,
Can you read the gauge in this
oh
photo?
boy.
0.546 inches.
Okay, and which weld is that?
This is the repair weld.
Okay. Do you think that difference in 0.3 of an inch is significant?
It is, yes.
And how many readings approximately did you take of the repair weld?
Again, probably the same 10 to 12.
All right, and were they all about a little over half an inch?
They varied, I would say within 180 thousandths probably.
Okay. Could you tell what process had been used to create the repair weld?
I could.
How?
Based on the weld bead itself of the repair weld, the bead profile, the ripple pattern that was in it, and then the distance in between starts and stops.
Okay, and let's start with that last one. What does that tell us, the difference between starts and stops?
That's what I want to know.
So the distance between the starts and stops, if it is a greater distance, would limit us to what process could be used. It would have to be a process that continuously fed a wire electrode. A process similar that could be used, such as like a stick welding operation or shielded metal arc welding. You're limited on how far you can actually weld because your electrode is only so long before you have to change it and restart again.
So is this a difference between welding with a piece of metal that's however long, a foot or whatever it is, versus a continuous spool of wire?
That's correct.
Okay, and which one is this?
This would be the spool of wire.
And do you remember what the longest distance between any of the stops and starts was?
The longest I measured in between starts and stops was 16 inches.
Okay. And could you go 16 inches with a quote unquote stick welder?
You could not.
And do you remember how many starts and stops there were in total around the circumference of that repair weld?
I identified 11 starts and stops.
Could you tell anything? Well, so based on that, again, remind us, what kind of a welder are we talking about?
So we're talking about a gas metal arc welding process, also commonly referred to as MIG welding or wire welding.
Okay. And could you tell anything about the welding machine itself based on the repair weld that you inspected?
Based on the size and the profile of the welds, and then again, the distance between starts and stops, we could determine that it was a larger machine, something you would not classify as a hobby machine. Most likely 220 volts and a duty cycle greater of 40%.
Showing you People's 293. Are you familiar with that machine?
I am.
How are you familiar with that?
I have spent many hours operating that exact model of machine before.
Okay. This isn't yours in particular.
No, it's not.
Okay. But you've used this many times?
That's correct.
What is it?
That is a Miller manufacturer, Miller brand, Miller-Matic model 252.
That's
Okay.
what it
And
says
do you
on
know,
the side.
does that meet the specs that you just described in terms of what kind of welder would have made that repair weld?
It does.
When you say the profile and what was the other term you used? Of the weld, I'm sorry, the profile and
The profile, the ripple pattern, and then the distance between starts and stops.
Okay. I want to make sure I had that right. Could you tell if this weld was done by hand or a machine?
I could.
How could you tell that?
Basically, whenever I examined the weld, it was evident that there was a lot of inconsistencies in the weld itself, both profile-wise, direction, path of travel, a lot of inconsistent parts in the height of the reinforcement. Those inconsistencies would lead to a determination of human error, essentially, and not an automated process.
Okay. Showing you People's 273. Does this illustrate some of those things?
It does.
Can you tell us how?
So it's a little hard to see probably as small as this picture is, but there is a spatter in this picture, which is a defect that we can see.
Look at this.
There is what we would consider concavity in the center of the bead.
Let me stop you on spatter. Can you describe from the picture what we should look for when we're looking for spatter?
Your spatter is going to be the small, they look like kind of like BBs on the outside of the weld.
Okay, is that spatter right there?
Correct.
Okay, and then there's some more down here.
These
Correct.
and
Down here
this,
farther.
and then over here.
Is all that spatter?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You suck,
All right,
Dale.
what was the second thing?
The other thing is concavity within the bead. We can see that it is a concave shape in spots and not concave in other spots, which would lead us to believe that the travel speed varied a little bit as it went across.
Okay.
Also, the
slowed down and
general width of the bead being narrower in spots and wider in spots
same thing.
is also indicative of that.
Okay.
A little bit further down in the same photo.
Oops.
Oh, look at how sloppy
Yeah,
this is.
You can see where we had a
Look at
large
that.
variation in the path of travel
Yeah.
for the speed.
Okay, and to describe that, what you're talking about, the path of travel?
So we can see as the weld comes down from the top of the screen to about the center, we can see it run off to the left-hand side, off of essentially where we would assume the joint is behind that, and then pick back up underneath after a start and stop, and then resume moving forward further down.
You can see this is
So,
where he started after
indicating
he
that,
stopped here.
The path of travel
started
comes
here.
down like this and then goes off to the left?
That's correct.
Okay. Whereas the bead continues on straight down here.
Correct.
Okay.
Welding is an art. I don't care what anybody says.
Showing you 274. That
art
give us some
Dale
idea
is
of
not good
the
at.
scale that we're talking about with that when the path of travel ran off?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Ran off the road. Where are you going,
Does
Dale?
275 tell us anything else about the weld?
Again, general discontinuities located within the weld, and a, for lack of better terms, a sloppy appearance.
Okay. So it wasn't just one spot, it was multiple spots that you identified?
It's
Correct.
just sloppy.
So as an inspector, how would you evaluate this weld that you saw?
As an inspector, to do a formal inspection, it would have to adhere to a specific welding code. And there is no welding codes that I have worked with that this would be acceptable in.
So were you able to form an opinion about the level of skill and or training of the person who did this weld?
I did.
What was your opinion?
My opinion was that it was somebody who had prior welding experience, so they were somewhat familiar with the process, but did not identify as having maybe formal weld training at the time that this was produced.
Shocker.
Are you able to tell the difference between somebody who is not highly skilled and someone who is in a rush?
That's a pretty broad question. To answer that, if you were in a rush and you had a high level of training, or we'll say a medium to high level of training, that rush job would definitely impact your final product.
Okay. And what if you had a medium amount of training? What would a rush do at that point?
That would definitely affect it even more so.
Okay. It would be worse.
Correct.
Showing you 276 and specifically looking at the bottom of this photograph. Could you explain what that is?
That's an indication of a weld discontinuity that was then ground down to improve the appearance and shape.
Oh.
Okay. And
Oh,
what would
boy.
be used to grind it down?
Typically, you would use an angle grinder with an abrasive wheel.
Nah.
And just looking at people's 50 in the left hand, is that relevant to what you just testified to?
That would be an abrasive wheel that would be applicable to an angle grinder, correct?
Okay, and that would be something you could use to grind down a high spot in a weld?
Yes.
Could you tell the path of travel in terms of which way the weld was formed from top to bottom or around the tank or how?
Yes, I could.
Ooh,
And,
I'm interested in this
What
too.
was your finding on that?
That it was done in the vertical down position.
Okay, and so with the starting from the top to the bottom and then top to bottom on the other side?
Correct.
Okay, and what did you see that told you that?
There was a couple different things that I noticed to make that determination. One was the amount of buildup on the horizontal portion or the top of the weld before it transitioned to vertical, where it then became less buildup and slightly concave.
Okay, so I'm showing you 277. Is that in this picture?
It is.
Okay, where?
and it's kind of hard to see from from this picture, but at the top, there is much more weld reinforcement at the top of the weld.
Mm-hmm. See the bump?
Where gravity is not having as much of an effect on the weld. It's actually putting it right where you're trying to make the weld. And then as we get further down and we transition into the vertical portion of the weld, we can see that it gets more concave as gravity essentially works against
it
us
looks like
and tries to
poo.
pull the weld down. We can also see a distinct ripple pattern in that transition that indicates also a vertical down weld.
Okay, so we're looking at these arrows, for lack of a better term,
Correct.
ripples, you called them?
Yes.
And how does that tell us anything?
So on a vertical down weld, you have to move faster than you do, say, in a vertical up position because of gravity. Your molten weld pool, if you don't move fast enough, can outrun where your welding arc is at. And as gravity tries to pull your weld down, you have to use the arc force, essentially the force coming out of the electric arc, to push the weld back up against gravity where you want it. And that's what creates this arrow shape, or what we call a ripple, pointing in the upward direction.
Could this tank have been welded from the bottom up?
Meaning, is it?
No, I mean, like, if you were to do this yourself, is it physically possible to start at the bottom and go up, or do you have to start at the top and go down?
No, it is possible to weld vertical up, and the code that would this tank would be under ASME Section 9, which is Boiler and Pressure Vessel Code for repair, actually would require it to be welded vertical up.
Okay, so I think if I understood you correctly, if a vessel's going to be pressurized, the code says you got to go bottom up.
That's correct.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Which one is easier and faster?
Vertical down welding essentially is easier because while gravity can hinder what the bead looks like, it is easier to put in where you're not trying to stack. It doesn't take as much technique to perform the vertical down weld as it does, say, a vertical up. And a vertical down weld is much faster than a vertical up.
Okay. And again, this is vertical down.
Correct.
Showing you People's 288. Why did you take this picture?
This picture denotes the difference in height or profile from the end of the cylinder portion of the tank to where the cap or the dome portion was attached.
Okay. And zooming in on that.
He's got a bump.
Are you saying one portion of this is higher than the other?
Correct.
Which portion is higher?
The dome portion or the cap portion is higher than the cylinder portion of the tank.
Do you know why that happened or how?
When these tanks are manufactured, they're manufactured with a submerged arc welding process, and it puts a lot of heat into the part as it's producing it. There's a lot of expansion and contraction forces, and likely that dome portion had a lot of those stresses in there. And of course, whenever it's welded, there's clamps involved as well to hold it in place. That freezes those forces, and then whenever it was cut or removed, essentially that dome portion kind of sprung outward.
Okay. So looking at 287, what vantage point are we at here?
Oh, that's icky.
This is at the repair weld at the very bottom of the tank. So this is where both sides would have came together at the end of the weld.
Okay,
oh, bottom of the tank.
Is the bottom two sections misaligned also, or are those even?
No, the bottom section of both the tank and the domed portion of the cap are in the same plane in this picture.
So the bottom matches up, but not the top.
Correct.
Do you have an idea of what could have been, how this could have been put back together so that the bottom aligned?
Yeah, so obviously if the dome portion kind of sprung out of shape after it was cut, and you go to line it back up, there's going to be sections that, you can't align all of them, right? So you would specifically find a spot where you can align. In this case, it was at the bottom. So something was used probably to line up the bottom, forming essentially a cradle that goes under both sections to hold them in the same plane and line them up.
Okay. Showing you People's 84, and specifically that piece of equipment. Do you know what that is?
The pallet jack?
Correct.
Yep.
What does that do?
So essentially, this is a jack that is used to move palletized items around. It moves up and down from the ground, and the two tined forks would then essentially go into a pallet.
Okay. Would that be something that could have been used to keep the bottom edges aligned?
It is a possibility without knowing the definite dimension in between the tines of the pallet jack and how it would fit up to the circumference of the tank. That would be the question. But if it did fit, yes, it definitely could be used.
Well, that was one of my questions. So now we know
Looking
that.
at People's 178, specifically these 4x4s laying on the ground. Could that have been something that would be used to align the bottom?
Objection is to speculation. So the last one, he said, well, it's a possibility, but I don't know. I think that we're just going to go through a number of items on the farm with Mr. Schmidt saying, I don't know.
This is the last one for what it's worth, Your Honor. I think he is qualified to say what pieces of equipment that are available could have been used. Thank you.
Yeah, they could be, definitely. Anything that would essentially create a cradle that the tank could sit on and also the end could sit on could be used.
Okay. And if the tank had a small amount of liquid in it, would it have been possible to do something to keep the liquid from spilling out?
Before it was cut?
Correct.
Yes. So if you lowered one end of the tank that you are not cutting on, that would essentially
Right. He could have
send
put
the
it on just
liquid
a slight
down to the other
angle.
end where you could cut the opposite end free without getting into the liquid.
Would that have made it significantly harder to cut the end off or reattach it?
It depends on what angle you had to put the tank to, and how much liquid essentially would be in the tank that you're trying to disperse to the other side. It's a long tank, so if it didn't have a significant amount of liquid in it, more than a few inches, it wouldn't have to drop much on the other end to have everything run to the other side. And that would not create, if it was just an inch or two drop, that would not create too much of a problem on the other end for alignment.
You could just prop a 2x4 under the tank on one end, and it would be just enough of an angle to send it to the
Now
other
are we on
end.
the inside of the tank?
That's correct.
You had to crawl up in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh boy.
What is this
Yeesh.
picture showing us?
So this picture shows us the inside of essentially where the cut was made that
Oh,
removed the
let's
dome
see how
portion cap, and then
icky this
where
is.
it was welded back on at. And
what
we
about-
can go ahead.
What about this white?
Paint.
So the white
I'm
substance
guessing.
is a paint drip on the inside of the tank.
Okay, and what does that tell you?
That indicates that it was painted after the repair weld was made, and then the condition of the repair weld was not essentially liquid tight and allowed paint to drip through to the inside. This also indicates that it would not hold a significant amount of pressure after the fact.
Now showing you
Wow.
282, again, still inside the tank.
That's correct.
What is this?
This shows us the cut kerf from when the domed portion was removed. This is a backing ring on the inside of the tank. Essentially, in the manufacturing process, this would have been put in there to aid for penetration of the factory weld in a solid seal. And this shows where the cut was made, essentially a little bit of variation off of the center of the backing ring.
Okay. So if we zoom in here, is the backing ring, is this Is this the edge of the top side of the backing ring?
Correct, that is one side of it, yeah.
Okay. And then what is this groove right here?
So that is the kerf that was produced when the domed portion was cut from the tank.
Okay, and explain, what is a kerf?
Kerf, whenever you have a cut, essentially of anything, you have material that is removed in essentially a void. The thicker the item used to cut something, the wider the kerf essentially would be.
Okay, and so here, we're inside, so the weld from the outside did not come all the way through and cover up that kerf?
That's correct.
Crappy weld.
283. Also from inside the tank, another picture of the backing ring, the kerf. This kind of denotes how straight this section of the kerf is, or the cut that was made. And then there's also another spot of paint that leaked through.
Yikes.
What would be
here.
used to make a straight cut like this?
This is the paint.
For this cut, whenever the cap was removed from the tank, and an abrasive cutting wheel was used.
Okay, and you can tell that from the straightness of the cut?
Straightness of the cut is one indication. The smooth edges of the cut and the kerf is another. And then here we see slivers or shards that were left behind from that process. And this is very common with that.
Okay, and this is photograph 284. So again, just for clarity, you said there's shards or slivers?
Correct.
And where are those in the picture?
These are the items that look jagged and are hanging down from the backing ring.
Okay. And 285?
More of the same.
Okay.
Look at all of that
286?
mess.
More of the same.
Yeesh.
In this photo, we can also see the kerf was wide enough in this spot where we can see the actual repair weld that was made in this groove. And indicative of this picture here, we can see a silicon deposit that was left in repair weld, and that is very common with a gas metal arc welding process and an ER70S type filler material.
Okay, so a MIG welder?
Correct.
And just for the jury, where do we see that silicone deposit on this picture?
It is the brownish looking item, probably mid screen, that extends out into the weld.
Okay, we're talking about in this area right here?
Correct.
Yup. I hope Dale is ashamed of himself right now, going, man, I thought I was a master welder.
Now,
I suck.
How do you know it wasn't a plasma cutter or a torch?
That originally cut the dome off?
Correct.
Based on the kerf itself, a plasma cutter or like an oxyacetylene torch or an oxypropane torch would have produced a much more ragged, jagged type cut, especially done by a human with human error. A machined process, obviously machined plasma torch or machined oxy-fuel torch could have produced a much smoother cut. But this has no indication of that. There's also no heat indications on the inside that would lead us to believe that a flame was used.
Is a plasma cutter or a torch faster or slower if you're in a hurry than a abrasive cutoff wheel?
So the cutting itself, both plasma and oxy-fuel cutting would be faster than an abrasive wheel. But given and it would depend on obviously the skill of the operator with that plasma torch or with that oxy-fuel torch. But being the fact there would be general inconsistencies in the kerf, it might make it more difficult to make the surfaces back up.
Okay, so if you know you got to put it back together, you might save some time up front.
Objection leading.
If you got to, I'll rephrase. If you've got to put it back together, which one would you choose?
The abrasive wheel would give you the best surface to put it back together.
Okay. And looking at People's 38, Can you identify those items?
That is looks like a corded angle grinder, and in the left hand, and in the right hand, that is either cutting or grinding discs.
Okay. And would this be considered an abrasive cutoff wheel and tool?
Yes, correct.
And that could have made that cut?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to People's 290. What is this a picture of?
This is a picture at
Really
the top of the tank,
Bad weld.
on the end where the repair weld was made, where the dome was attached back to the tank.
All right, and again, where is that in the picture?
The repair weld itself is essentially center screen, and it runs from left to right across the tank.
Okay, and then what about that dot up at the top?
So there is another weld spot where something was attached to this dome portion of the tank.
Okay.
Oh.
And do you have an opinion about how that would have gotten there?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
That whenever this dome portion was removed, it would have to be supported in some way so it did not fall. It's obviously not a square item. It's going to be somewhat awkward. So the ideal way to do it would be to attach probably a chain or something in that fashion to hang the item so that when it's cut free, it does not fall.
Okay. I'm showing you 291, which is what?
That is a close-up of that spot.
Wow.
And can you explain, can you tell from that where the item that would have been welded to it was actually welded to it?
So from this picture, we can see that there's essentially a hollow spot. For lack of better terms, it almost looks like a donut. The item would have been welded into the center of that. That's where the physical item would have been. And then around the outside portion that we see, that would be the weld that is remaining. This is, of course, after it has been ground down.
Okay. So referring to this portion in the middle?
That's correct.
Okay. And tell that kind of U-shaped or horseshoe shaped, what is that portion right there?
Yep, that inside there, what is where the weld is not, essentially would be the tank.
Okay, and so are you saying this is where something would have been attached to it?
Correct.
Okay. And what would have been used to attach to the tank?
Objection, speculation.
If you were doing this, what would you use?
If I was doing it,
Objection,
sorry.
speculation.
Well, the question is, what would he use if he were doing it? I think that's speculative.
But then it's irrelevant. What he would use if he were doing this is totally irrelevant. It's not what an expert in welding would use.
I can rephrase just a tad, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Given the evidence here of the weld to the top of the tank, do you have an opinion what was used to support it so it didn't fall off when it was cut all the way?
I do.
Okay. Please tell us.
It appears that a chain link would have been welded there.
Okay, thank you.
Ding, 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 ding. Way to go, Elizabeth. You get the gold star in the
Showing
chat
people's
today.
And zooming in. Would those type of chain be consistent with what you saw?
It's not me. I don't know what's happening.
If a chain had been welded there, then what would be used to support the cap, if anything?
From the chain, you would need to attach it to overhead and a hook to put onto the end of the chain to do so.
Okay. Showing you people's 150. You see the forklift or fork truck in there?
Yes.
Would that be something that would be helpful?
Objection, speculation. He's saying it could have been used.
I don't think it's speculation. He's not saying it was something that someone job. And I don't think that's speculative. It's all over.
Thank you.
Go ahead and answer.
I don't know what's happening here. Give me just a moment. I'm going to refresh this particular screen and see if that helps at all. Let me take it off so you all don't have to watch me do all of that craziness. Yeah, that's not what I wanted. So I'm glad I paid attention to see where we were in this because it totally bumped me all over the place. I think we were right there. And yeah, that didn't fix it. So I don't know what's going on. It's not me. It is something in the YouTubes.
Speculation. He's saying it could have been used.
I don't think it's speculation. He's not saying it was something that someone to accomplish the job. And I don't think that's speculative. It's all over.
Thank you.
Go ahead and answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. If you had a fork truck, how would you use it in this?
So with a fork, best way to use it would be to raise the tines over top of the end of, obviously weld the chain to the portion of the tank, suspend it from one of the tines of the fork truck, wrapping it around and hooking it back to itself.
Okay. Showing you People's 289. This is from when the committee's cut it open. Can you explain from what you just said how this is being done here?
Yeah, essentially the exact same way, except for they have used a merge hook, a wrecker hook, and gone through an opening in the tank rather than welded the chain link to the end of the dome.
Okay.
Hi, KS Granny.
In this picture, they've got the fork truck on the side. Do you have an opinion whether it had to be on the side, one side or the other, or in the front?
It could have been on either side or the front. I think the front would make it more advantageous for alignment whenever you put it back on.
Okay, and how is that?
I'm getting the picture now. Remember we talked about
if you were in front of the tank, once you finished your cutting and essentially it hung there, you could just back the fork truck up directly, straight up. And then whenever you're ready to realign it, you could just drive it right back to the tank.
Okay. Just to direct your attention to the cut here. And I know that, well, first of all, let me look at the full picture. Can you tell from this picture what was used to cut the end of the tank off here?
I can.
How?
Based on a couple things. One, there is a red and green oxy-fuel hose laying in the background that runs up over top of the undercarriage of the tank that would be used for an oxy-fuel torch. And then the burn marks essentially made from the cut caused by the flame of the oxy-fuel torch.
Okay. And is this typical when you use a torch in terms of the pattern of the cut?
It depends on how skilled the individual is who's utilizing the torch and how much experience they have in doing a cylindrical item. Cylindrical items are quite a bit different than what we say flat items are. So if they were highly skilled, it could be straighter. If they were less skilled, it could be even more crooked.
even more crooked than it already is.
What other equipment would you need besides the welder and a way to support the bottom and to hold it from the top? Besides those things, what else would you need to do a welding job on the end cap?
Just welding the end cap?
Correct.
Obviously, you would need probably some PPE or personal protective equipment, which would include a welding helmet,
gloves,
that sort of thing. You would not be able to, a welding helmet essentially would be a must. You would not be able to see what you're doing without it.
Okay. So if you tried to weld without a welding mask, what would happen?
Essentially, you'd be trying to do it with your eyes closed. If you left your eyes open, the light would be extremely bright and probably
Burn.
hurt your eyes. You could also receive UV burns to your eyes because of it. So you would be trying to do it with your eyes closed and essentially doing it blind. You would most likely run way off course in a very short period of time.
Okay. So even given the inconsistencies in that weld, can you tell if that was done by somebody who was doing it blind, for lack of a better term?
It definitely was not
Okay,
somebody
so,
who had their eyes closed.
right, so that person had a welding mask then?
Correct.
Okay. What else besides a welding mask would you use?
Gloves to protect your hands.
Oh, really? You would think so? That
Yeah,
would
as
put
long as you had the
nice
welder
line.
and the equipment to put it back together, to align it, and then the PPE, you would be able to make that weld.
Okay. Would you use anything on your arms?
Potentially, that would fall under the PPE as well, covering your arms. I mean, if this was done inside we'll say a welding facility, whoever would be doing it would be wearing a welding jacket or welding sleeves that would cover the arms, probably a welding cap to cover their head, a welding mask, and then probably heavy duty welding gloves.
If you did this without something on your arms, what would you expect to see?
If your skin was exposed to it,
Correct.
You could expect to see essentially some burn marks. Depends on if you had sparks landing directly on your arm, but you would also see evidence of ultraviolet light burns, essentially.
Like
So
a sunburn?
potentially, depending on how long the duration was, the UV light that's produced in the welding arc is extremely intense, and it can burn uncovered skin relatively quickly.
Okay, YP Comchick. How did he get that ammonia vapor out so it wouldn't catch on fire? Did he leave it open for a few days? So I think, and this is just me spitballing here, I think the reason the relief valve in the back of the tank is so different is because he whacked it off to ventilate the tank itself, number one. And number two, I feel like once that was no longer pressurized, I don't know that it's flammable necessarily. And I'm trying to remember what was on the side of the tank, if it showed in the the diamond thing, whether it was flammable or not, because I don't remember seeing it. So it's possible that it wouldn't have actually caught fire. My understanding from what they've been saying is what would happen in that tank is that it could build pressure, and then poof. And that's why they have that relief valve at the end opposite of where the fill valves are. I am no engineer, and I'm hoping Justin is going to tell us all about it. And maybe one of the jurors will have a question like that. YP Comchick. Just saying.
Showing you people's 74. Do you have an opinion on this?
That is very indicative of
welder's burn.
what a burn from UV light produced by the welding arc would look like, especially if one was wearing a glove on the hand.
Thank you.
Awesome, USMC.
You said a relatively short period of time. What would be the shortest you would think a person could be welding and get the results in that picture?
There's a few facets to answer that question. One is going to be the amount of voltage and amperage that's being produced in the weld. Machines are variable, so the thicker material that you're welding, or the higher the output you set the machine up for, the more UV light is going to be produced while you're welding. The more UV light that is produced
Probably had that
is
thing
going to have
cranking.
a greater effect faster on the skin. Based on, would you like me to base it on essentially the weld size?
Yes.
Okay, so based on the repair weld size that we've seen, knowing that it was a higher amperage welding machine, I would say you could do that in a half hour or so. It also depends on the individual's
Skill level?
how often they've been exposed to something like that.
Oh.
I guess a good example would be same thing from like a sunburn. If you go outside early on in the year and you have a very hot sunny day, and you're out there for a half an hour, you might burn rather quickly. Whereas maybe towards the end of the summer, same conditions, and you're used to being out in the sun, it would not burn as quickly.
Okay.
Makes sense.
You noticed that the paint was, excuse me, the tank in tank 34 was painted white. Does that have any bearing on how quickly you could get the UV burn?
It would, because of the paint was gloss. So a gloss paint, essentially anything gloss reflects more, and UV light is no different than any other light, just like visible light that we see that gives things colors. It can be reflected off of shiny surfaces, and that would essentially intensify the UV light on the opposite side of the reflection.
Okay. All right, now I'll turn to how fast could somebody weld? Can you give us a figure in like inches per minute or something like that?
So to produce, in reference to the repair weld, to produce a weld of that size, anywhere from 6 to 10 inches per minute.
Okay. Did you measure the circumference of the tank?
I did.
What was it?
128 inches.
Okay, so all the way around 128 inches.
Correct.
And so is there any other factor in determining how quickly somebody could weld that back together other than the speed that they can weld?
There's a couple.
Okay, what are they?
One would be starts and stops as you reposition yourself. Even because of the size of the circumference at 128 inches, it's relatively large diameter. Nobody could weld from start to finish all in one go. So you would have to reposition yourself often to create that one weld. That's going to take a little bit of time factored in. Also, the limitations of the equipment itself. Welding equipment has, every piece of welding equipment is rated by a duty cycle. And duty cycle for a welding machine is a period out of 10 minutes that you can actually, that the machine is rated to have an arc on time.
Okay. And so give us a typical duty cycle.
60%.
Okay. And so if a welder has a 60% duty cycle, out of every 10 minutes, how many minutes can it spend welding?
It can weld for 6 minutes out of 10.
Okay. All right. And showing you people's 295. Is that the same type of machine that you identified earlier?
It is.
That's the Miller-Matic
And I don't know if you can
252.
zoom in here, but can you tell what the duty cycle of this machine is?
It says
60%.
60%.
And the amperage for this machine?
200 amps.
And yes, Kelly, us Michiganders, we're good people. We're not like Massachusetts, you know?
So
That was a
you
whole
said
thing.
you could do 6 to 10 inches per minute. Slow would be 6, fast would be 10. And you could weld 6 out of 10 minutes, 6 minutes out of every 10 minutes, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So what would be the quickest, given those variables, that someone could weld that entire 128 inches?
Ooh, time to do some math. I'd be breaking out in a
Can I
sweat.
refer to?
Did you do
my
some
calcu-
notes?
I brought some notes and I did some calculations.
Okay,
Oh,
if that would
Lord.
refresh your memory, yes, please.
I would absolutely be the same way. Don't be making me do some math in front of everybody. And I have trauma from the math I had to do when I was a child. So,
Okay, so at 10 inches per minute, the quickest you could weld that 128 inches with a 60% duty cycle would essentially be 21.3 minutes of arc on time.
Okay, so that's with the pauses, because you could only weld 6 out of 10 minutes, still 21 minutes you could do it?
Yes, that doesn't take into consideration necessarily starts and stops, depending on how much time is spent in between. That is strictly with duty cycle, and then your starts and stops could count for some of that duty cycle loss as well.
Okay, and if you were on the slower side, the 6 inches per minute side, what would be the time for that person?
On the 6 inches per minute, 35.5 minutes of arc on time.
And the same caveat, plus starts and stops?
Yeah, so plus starts and stops, and same thing goes for that. And we had 11 starts and stops that I had identified in the tank, and that can vary from a few seconds. If it is just a position or a reposition, obviously that would be a relatively short period of time. And to calculate what it would take for actual weld time, we would just add additional time beyond the 60% duty cycle for that.
So with, you got 11 starts and stops. We don't know how long exactly it took the welder in this instance to reposition themselves, correct?
Correct.
But taking that out of the equation, you could do it in as little as 21 minutes, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the slower welder, 35 minutes.
Correct.
Do you have an idea of how long it would have taken to cut the end off with the abrasive wheel?
I do.
And how do you know that?
So I did some experiments with the same type of equipment to gather inches per minute on a relatively same thickness of material to come up with basically a formula to calculate exactly how long it would take to cut 128 inches of the same thickness of material with the same type of equipment, abrasive wheel.
Okay, and what did you come up with?
2.5 inches per minute.
Okay, and so then to cut 128 inches at 2.5 inches per minute, how long does that take?
That's approximately 50 minutes.
5-0?
50.
that's a long time, y'all. That's I was doing the math in my head, and I'm
Is there any reason that would
that's
have to
an
be
hour.
done all at once, or could you break that up?
No, you could break it up, and not knowing what the restraints are, but given if it was being done, it probably would be broke up, because you would not start from.
Objection, speculation.
I think he's the expert and he's in the position to indicate.
I'm going to sustain that agreement.
After cutting it off, welding it back on, how quickly could you repaint it? How long does it take to cool down?
Oh,
Because there's a lot of thermal mass in this tank, or a lot of mass in general, it would be able to cool off rather quickly. And because it's so big, 128 inches of weld, by the time you got back to the side that you started with, it would be completely cool, essentially. So you could start on that side right after you were finished.
Other than the approximately 50 minutes to do the complete cut and between 21 minutes and 35 minutes to weld it back on, is there any significant amount of time that we haven't accounted for in the process of cutting it off? welding it back on, grinding the spots down, etc.?
No significant amount of time, but there are other things obviously that would be in there.
Like what?
The time it takes to essentially remove the cap to provide access to the tank, and then
Plus you
to
gotta
put
get her
the
body
cap
out of the
back
safe
to the
and
tank and align
put
it.
it in there. and-
Let's stop right there. So you're talking about if a forklift had been used, you've already described just backing up and then going forward.
Correct.
How much time would you expect that to take?
It would not take much. To remove the cap is simply backing up on the fork truck, relatively under 30 seconds to back that up. And then to reposition it forward, depending on how much skill the operator had that was operating the fork truck, could be the same, especially if there was guides at the bottom to help cradle the bottom of the dome to the tank.
Okay. All right. What other factors we have?
As far as welding it back together,
Well, you indicated that there were some high spots that had been ground down.
yeah. So there was some discontinuities within the weld. For a better terminology, drips that would stick out, high-profile spots in the face of the weld bead that were ground back down to create uniformity with the weld. Small spots, I would say 5 minutes of grinding would be enough to do all that was done.
Okay.
This was quite a process.
At some point, you said at the very beginning that the fourth time you looked at the tank, you were comparing a photo that you were provided with a physical tank itself. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And can you tell us what was the photo on that you were looking at?
It was a body cam photo of a tank sitting on the ground.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. This is People's 79.
let's see
You recognize
that.
that?
I do.
Show us, show us,
Okay.
show us, show us.
Now, when you had initially met with the Michigan State Police, did they show you a photo?
Not initially, but when I came back in for a follow-up interview, I was shown a
That's-
photo.
That's the
Okay.
tank.
And did you match, or did you attempt to
That's
match
right
that photo
here.
to the tank at that time?
I did.
Okay. Did you actually go up to the tank itself and look?
No.
Okay. Why not?
It was in the prosecutor's office, so we did not have physical access to the tank at that time.
Okay. But later on, you did?
We did, yes.
Okay. And so you took this photo and you compared it to the physical tank?
Correct.
And what did you find?
That it did match up rather well. There are several.
Objection to the use of the term match. I think that goes far afield of his abilities. I also think it's improper if he wants to talk about similarity.
Ma'am, I can look at the tank and see that it matches. And I have absolutely no expertise in anhydrous tanks, welding, or any of the stuff that this man has been cutting and cutting tools. And what are you doing? We can all see there is not another tank on the property that has this relief valve cover. We've had testimony about it. We've talked about it. Listen, Shardy Pants. This isn't new. This is the tank. I so badly want to see the other end of this tank in this body cam, because this is definitely the tank that she was put in, and this is on 4/27. This was 3 days after she was last seen by anyone. And this is absolutely the tank. Oh, that crazy woman. And then she scares me with her objections. I'm PTSD.
Similarities or dissimilarities, consistent inconsistencies. But to say it's a match is unfairly prejudicial.
I'm fine with that, Your Honor. Could you explain consistencies or inconsistencies?
Yeah, I viewed spots within the repair weld on the tank that was consistent with spots in the
Shut
photograph.
the
Okay,
front
and-
door.
Are you able to identify any of those with this?
Yes, and I can use zoom in a little bit
Sure.
further. So a couple of the items that was identified was the two anomalies about, we'll say, 10 to 12 inches up from the bottom of the tank along the seam of the repair weld.
Okay, are we talking about this area in here?
Correct.
Okay.
And then the offset at the top of the tank where the dome is attached.
Okay. And when you were physically present with the tank, what did you see?
I saw consistencies that were with this photo.
Were you able to, when you looked at this, did something stand out to you in terms of the paint?
I noticed that the paint was very flat
In what part?
around the weld area.
Y'all, he had to have done this
could
like the day
This be done
after.
by one person, or would it take more than one person to do this job, cutting the tank end off and welding it back together?
Objection, speculation.
If you know.
I would overrule it. He knows I think he can answer.
This job could be done with one person if they had the proper tools and equipment.
Okay, and the tools that we've talked about today.
That's correct.
And Lord knows they were there. Wow. Okay. So,
Okay, Ms. Shardy, if you want to take a recess before we begin, it's about 3 o'clock, so we're kind of in that neighborhood.
That might be a good idea because I think this is a natural breaking point. And I believe this is the last witness for the day.
Okay, why don't we do that? We'll take
that would be a really good stopping point because I believe this is the last witness for the day. Thank you. Ugh. All right, let me get us queued up here. I just have to say, I had been waiting to find out when and if they knew exactly when that tank had been tampered with. And y'all are y'all as surprised and shocked as I am? Because I am shooketh that April 27th, she was already in that tank. And it took him hours to get that done. We're talking over 2.5 hours to do all of that. Can you imagine like thinking, what are you thinking while you're doing that? You're like, yep, got to get rid of the old wife's body here. This will do good. And sure wish I could dispose of her some other way. This is a lot of work. Well, she's always been a lot of work. Like, what goes through your mind when you have all that time? Wow. Let me zippity-doo-dah us to the point that they have this gentleman, our welding engineer, back on the stand. Well, good grief. I thought we were coming back, but it doesn't look like it. Right? I wasn't expecting that either. I don't think the tank part was premeditated, USMC. No, I think that was Dale being Dale. I just didn't think we would see the actual tank already having been opened and welded shut again. What are we doing here? Come on. Oh, jury coming in now. What are you, why are you giving me the seal? Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Schmidt, my name is Mary Chartier. I represent Mr. Warner, and I have some questions for you this afternoon. So you indicated that you were contacted by the Michigan State Police on August 27th, 2024. Is that accurate?
Yes.
How did they reach out to you? How did they learn about you? Do you know that?
I do not know directly how they did, but they reached out to me by phone.
Do you know who made contact by phone?
Detective Brewer.
Did you ever ask, how did you learn about me?
I believe I might have. I don't recall for sure though.
Did you know anyone involved with the case?
I do not.
Had you worked with them, Michigan State Police or anyone in the past?
No.
Now you then went, did you go that day to look at the exterior of the tank?
I would have to look at my report for exact dates, but I believe it was scheduled for a couple days later.
Sure, so why don't you take a look if that would help refresh your memory.
I'm going to try to keep my snark under control. This woman just, y'all know she rolls all over me.
I believe it's on the second page.
The inspection was scheduled for the 29th of August.
So the 29th of August, so you went to take a look at it. How much time did you spend with the tank?
I would have to say probably an hour and a half-ish.
And that's when you took the measurements that we saw?
Correct.
And you took photographs?
Correct.
And you inspected everything that you wanted to inspect that day as it relates to the exterior?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what was the tank made of?
As far as
Sure. So is it plastic, steel?
it's steel
We
composed,
already went through this.
And what steel you said mostly?
composed of.
Oh, steel composed of. And then at that point in time, and even up until today, what was your experience cutting open and welding a steel tank like that?
I have had experience cutting, specifically cutting anhydrous tanks open before. It's not uncommon for them to be used, as odd as it sounds, as fire rings when they're decommissioned.
So what's a fire ring? Now I'm intrigued by that.
So, given that the large diameter of the tank itself, 41 inches in this case, slivers of the tank are often cut and used as a ring to build a campfire in.
Oh, so people put a campfire in the middle of the metal?
Yep.
And so you do that? You help cut the tank so they can do that?
I have done that before, yes.
How many times?
About 3.
And when you cut the tank open, did it have any liquid in it?
No, ma'am.
And what did you use to cut the tanks open?
I used oxyacetylene torch.
A what torch?
Oxyacetylene torch.
Okay, so you didn't use, you called it an abrasive wheel or a grinder. You didn't use that?
I did not.
Have you ever used that to cut open a steel tank?
Not an anhydrous tank, but yes, a steel tank I have.
And let's say the tank that we saw, tank 34, let's say you were going to cut that with the grinder. Should I call it a grinder or an abrasive wheel, or what would you prefer?
Either is fine.
Okay, well, we'll call it a grinder. How many wheels would it take? So the grinder has a wheel on it, correct?
That's correct.
How many wheels would it take to cut that?
It depends on the diameter, or excuse me, on the thickness of the wheel. The thinner the wheel, the faster it would use up. Also, the diameter of the wheel. You can get wheels in various diameters, same thing. The greater the diameter, the longer it would last.
So can you give us an estimate? It might take 4 to 8, or can you tell us?
I would say, given that circumference, probably 6 to 8 wheels.
6 to 8 wheels. And then how loud would it be? It sounds like you've done this before, although you haven't used a grinder. But with a grinder, how loud would that be?
It would be loud. You have the noise from the grinder itself, and then obviously you have a hollow tank that would echo the sounds.
So when you say loud, people have said I have a loud voice, right? So
No,
is
you're
it
just
loud like
not-
that, or is it, wow, loud? People like my neighbor would hear.
It would be above 85 decibels, which is at the point that they recommend hearing protection.
Okay, so above 85 decibels. And so you've cut open those tanks before to help make the fire rings. What about welding them shut? Have you ever welded a tank like that shut before?
I have not.
Did you do any sort of experiment in this case? So when you were hired, did you say, I wonder how long it would take or anything
And
like that?
obnoxious.
So whenever I started calculating what it would take to actually time for the weld to be produced, I did do some experiments because Basically, the type of weld that we see as the repair weld is not what we would consider a common weld for that type of joint, meaning there was no concern for penetration, right? It was just to put the cap back on. So thickness wasn't necessarily a priority. If we used any type of calculator, there are some online weld calculators, and then there are some formulas. It's going to give in the actual thickness of the weld. So to get a more accurate measurement, I did do some physical experiments where I welded very similar to that.
And so did you take that into account when you were coming up with the calculation of how long it would take, how long it took you?
I did.
And then your experience level is how many years? 20 plus, I think?
It is.
Okay. Did you have a student do it to see maybe how they would do it?
No, I had no students involved.
Now, would a weld like that or the grinding, so either the cutting or the welding, does that cause sparks?
It does.
What does? The cutting or the welding?
Both.
Both. Okay, and do the sparks fly places, or do they just go right to the floor? So, or are they all over?
For the grinder, it depends on if there is a guard on the grinder. The guard will direct the sparks in a general way. Usually they're rotatable so that the sparks do not hit the operator, or you can send them in a direction that you would like for them to go. For the welding, they're going to propagate out from the center of the weld and go all directions.
Go all directions, including, for example, on clothing?
It's possible. It depends how far the operator is away from where the welding is happening, but yes.
What about on the floor?
Yes.
Does it cause anything? So, for example, if they got on my clothes, might they burn them, the sparks?
It's possible.
What about on the floor?
Depends on the floor surface. So if it's like a painted floor surface, you could see remnants of that. If it's concrete, you probably wouldn't notice anything. You would have essentially, it would look like dust essentially, but the sparks are actually molten metal that is molten in air, which is why they look orange. And then whenever they cool, they just look like dust.
Do they look like a color? So for instance, does it look like black soot or gray dust, or what does it look like?
Yeah, usually darker in color.
Darker color. Now you went on, you said August 29th, 2024. Oh, do you know how heavy that tank is?
I do not know exactly how heavy the tank is.
And you don't know how heavy the piece was that was cut off, correct?
I do not know exactly, no.
I don't think he can answer that. Hold it. Don't they weigh the tanks to determine how much needs to be, how much material needs to be put in them? Isn't that how they do it? So if it's empty, it's lighter than if it has anhydrous ammonia in it. Am I the only one that remembered this? Because I'm feeling gaslit right now. Why is she asking him that? It depends on whether it's got stuff in it or not. This woman drives me batty. Oh my gosh.
Did I already ask you, do you know how thick the steel was?
You did not, but I do. I took measurements of that.
Terrific. Would you tell us?
The measurement I took was 0.223 inches.
0.223. So 0.223 inches.
Correct.
Now, you said you had experience cutting open an anhydrous ammonia tank. Did you take any precaution? Well, let me ask you this. When you were cutting it for the fire, was there any chemicals or anything in the tank, or had it been cleaned out?
No, it had been decommissioned for quite some time.
If you were cutting into an anhydrous ammonia tank, would you take any precautions?
Oh.
If it had anhydrous in it, I guess it would depend on what my knowledge of the tank was, how long since it had been used, how full it was, how much anhydrous was in it, that sort of thing.
What precautions would you take?
Well, obviously, if it was full, I probably wouldn't do it.
I don't think anyone would. But suppose it had some anhydrous in it.
I would first probably vent the tank to make sure that there is no buildup of fumes inside. Possibly, depending on how quickly it needed to be done, but to be safe, I would probably purge the tank. That could be done with air or inert gas or even water.
I'm going to stop you right there. You said vent the tank. How would you do that?
Providing a hole. So in the case of an anhydrous tank, I would probably take the valves out and provide an airway.
And does that
Or the
go
relief
out into
valve.
the air? So you want to like dissipate that, what's inside?
Mainly so that it's not a contained vessel.
So it's not a contained vessel. So it's not, for example, like in a garage or something like that. You
No,
want to do it
garage.
outside?
Meaning that it's not contained, meaning it's not pressurized.
Not pressurized.
Correct.
How long would it take to vent it?
Relatively quickly.
What's relatively quickly?
If there was pressure inside, it would leak out immediately. If you were trying to vent odor or something like that, it would take quite a while longer. I don't know that you'd ever get the smell completely out of it.
So when people say things like quite a while longer, I always like to try to get some idea because it means something different to everybody. So what does that mean to you?
A long time. And being the fact that I don't have exact experience in venting a tank to where it does not have any odor anymore, I couldn't give you an exact time.
So when you say a long time, are you talking like days, weeks, months?
I can say that the tank in this case, even after it was open, still had an ammonia odor in it whenever I entered it. And
So-
that was quite a while.
And so was it a strong odor?
Yes, it's fairly strong.
No, you said you were telling us other things that you would do, and then I stopped you so I could understand the venting. So what was something else that you had said?
Potentially purging it. And you could purge it with air, or you could purge it with an inert gas, or even, some people that repair tanks will purge with water so that there's no vapor inside.
Oh,
And then anything else, any other precautions you would take?
tell us about
Obviously
that.
have a face shield. As a precaution, I would make sure I have my PPE on, probably to make sure that there is a fire extinguisher nearby, especially if I was doing it by myself in case something did catch fire.
Why did you say fire extinguisher? What would be the concern about something catching fire?
Well, you're creating sparks, right? Whether you're cutting or welding, those sparks can land in certain things, and if you're unknowing, it could essentially set something on fire, and you would want to put that out.
Would you have a concern about the chemical itself with the sparks?
I don't know for sure whether anhydrous ammonia is flammable. I do not believe it is, but I do not know that for sure.
That's what I said.
Anything else that you would do?
See, sometimes Miss B knows what she's talking
Obviously,
Not very often.
arrange equipment, make sure I had everything I needed to be able to do it. But for precaution wise, probably not.
And then, do you have any experience painting an anhydrous ammonia tank?
I do not.
So you don't know how long it would take the paint to dry, anything like that?
I do not.
Now, we talked about the August 29th, 2024 look that you did of the tank. You said that there were contaminants, and I reviewed your analysis, contaminants combined with the weld material during the welding process. Do you know, and that's on page 3 if you need it, do you know what those contaminants were?
I do not specifically. I can make an assumption or give you my opinion on what they were.
So we don't want any assumptions in a courtroom. So if you don't know the contaminants, that's fine. Thank you. And so you don't know, again, where they came from.
Commentary.
Thank you. Then you ultimately met with Detective Drewer and Detective Singleton in September. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And tell us about that. What did you do at that meeting?
I had an interview with them, and they wanted to show me a photo of the tank, and asked me if I could identify the tank, or I should say a photo of a tank, and asked me if I could identify the tank in the photo.
Oh.
And is that at that trip, before you met with them, is that when you viewed the interior of the tank?
Yes.
Okay, so you had viewed the interior of the tank in September, then you met with Detective Drury and Detective Singleton, and they wanted to show you a photograph and then see if that was consistent with the tank that you had viewed. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And the photograph that they showed you was actually an enhanced photo, correct?
I'm not sure if it was or not. I know it was a photo that was on a device. It was from a body cam. I don't know if it was essentially a still photo or if it was a stop in the footage itself.
Do you remember them telling you that it was an enhanced photograph?
I don't remember them saying that, but it's possible that they did.
Would listening to your interview help refresh your memory?
It would.
Thank you. Ms. Saylor, would you go to GEE 03 at about?
Or zippity-doo-dah. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Boy, oh boy, I can't stand this attorney.
Did that help refresh your memory?
It did.
And it was an enhanced photograph, correct?
So they commented that they had enhanced it as much as they could.
Correct. And you had no reason to believe that they were lying to you and they said it was an enhanced photograph, right?
No.
And at that point, you looked at the photos taken by law enforcement, including the enhanced one, the body camera, your photos, and the actual tank, correct?
At that point, yes.
At that point, and you didn't issue any kind of an opinion that you thought that this was consistent, correct?
I believe my opinion during the interview that
Yes.
referring to, yeah, my opinion was that from what I had in front of me, I couldn't make a determination.
You could not make a determination. And that would have been, again, September 24th, 2024, correct?
That's correct.
Then you went back and viewed the tank a third time. Was that January 5th, 2026?
It was.
Why did you go back and view it a third time?
At that point in time, there was a question of if there was any other weld marks that might have been missed on the tank. I wanted to take a look to see possibly how the end cap might have been supported, if there was any marks, that sort of thing.
And so did you miss a weld mark when you had viewed the tank the prior two times?
I wouldn't say I missed a weld mark, but there was a weld mark outside of the repair weld that was on the tank.
And had you noted that there was this other weld mark on the tank?
I had not.
Now, when you went out in January, did anyone tell you what to look for? So give you any guidance?
As far as the weld mark
Yes.
that was noted? No.
Did anyone show you any still photographs, any body camera images, anything like that?
So while there, I'm trying to, I can look at my report.
Sure.
I'm trying to remember if that was the instance or if it was at a later date.
Yeah, I don't think enhanced
But there
means
was a time
much of anything.
there with the tank that I was showed a still photo again of that same body cam footage while I was there with the tank.
So was that that?
That's what I'm trying to.
Okay, sure. Go take a look.
So enhance, it could be as simple as what he's saying, that they took a snippet of a body cam. Well, you're not playing the body cam. And yes, it could have been blown up. It could have been reduced down. It could have been anything. I don't see this being the big gotcha
That would have been.
that she's looking for.
That was not at that time.
Okay, when was that time?
That would have been the, I believe the fourth time that I went out to look at the tank.
Was that in February?
I believe it was.
February of this year?
Correct.
February 2026?
Yes.
I'm going to get to that in a minute. Before we get to that final view of the tank, and that was the final view of the tank for you?
Yes.
You had talked about the welding machine that was in a photograph, the Miller.
The Miller-Matic.
Do you know how many of those machines are sold?
I do not know exactly how many of those machines are sold.
Was that a
that.
surprise to you to see a welding machine like that, something you'd never seen of before?
No.
So fairly common welding machine?
Yes.
What is she getting at? So somebody else brought their Miller-Matic out there
When you
to do this?
were preparing
Damn.
your analysis and then for this case, did anyone show you a comparison of welds and ask you, okay, can you tell if the same person did this weld and this weld?
No, but I believe I was asked if you could tell if a specific person did a weld early on.
And what was your response to that?
No.
So it's not, you didn't do a weld lineup to see if you could match.
What are we doing right now? This woman drives me
Now,
crazy.
when you were talking with Mr. McCready and testifying, you were talking about the pallets and the cradle and things like that. You would agree with me that's all speculation on your part, correct?
I wouldn't say if it's, I would say that's my opinion on how that would be done and how I would do it.
Sure, how you would do it, right? But you don't know that's how it was done, correct?
I do not know that's how it was done.
And so, for instance, when you were talking about a chain, you don't have a chain that you can say, this is the chain that was supposedly welded to the tank, correct?
No.
And you don't have a forklift or a pallet where you're like, okay, that was used as the cradle, right?
No.
Did anyone talk to you about, or say, could you use a chain? Something like that?
I believe I was asked how I would do it and specified that that's how I would do it.
That's different.
Now, getting to the September, or excuse me, the February meeting.
Yeah, I'm like, why
So
are we
you
going
had
back in
viewed the
time?
tank in August of 2024. You had then viewed the tank again in January of 2026. In between that, you saw the tank in September of 2024, and that's when you were shown the enhanced photographs, correct?
Correct.
And so at no point, again,
Wow.
did you reach some sort of an opinion that there was this similarity between the two tanks that we're hearing about today, right?
No.
That came about at a meeting on February 9th, 2026, right?
Correct.
Who was in that meeting?
When I went to examine the tank,
Sure.
What is
I
sure?
believe both Mr. McCready and Detective Brewer were there.
So Mr. McCready and Detective Drew were there. Are you aware the trial had actually started at that point in time?
No, ma'am.
And only on February 9th, 2026, where did you then claim that now you could say there were consistencies between the two, to the point that you were going to be testifying to that in court, correct?
Defense.
That's correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
You can tell it's the same tank, ma'am. This is not the big woohoo that you think it is.
So you were asked a series of questions about precautions that you would take if you were going to cut open an anhydrous tank. I think you may have had 3, 4, 5, or 6. My question is, could a person do that, cut open the anhydrous tank without taking those precautions?
Yes.
Okay. Could a person have cut open this particular anhydrous tank without using an abrasive wheel?
Yes.
Okay. What about the shards and all that? I mean, I'm not saying in general, I'm saying this particular tank.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt on how this tank was, the dome was removed off of the tank.
Okay.
It was with an abrasive wheel.
But we don't know whether the person used precautions when it came to the anhydrous that may or may not have been in there.
No.
Okay, but they could have done it without any precautions whatsoever in that regard.
Objection, asked and answered and speculation.
I do agree that it's been asked.
Thank you. Yes, I agree too. Last thing is, I may have misheard, but I think Ms. Chartier asked you something about being hired. Have you been hired in this case at all?
No, I have not.
Have you received any money at all?
No.
Okay, and you spent how many hours, do you think? Doing evaluations and writing your reports?
Probably upwards of 30.
Thank you. When we met, or when you met with Detective Drewer and Singleton, did any of us ever tell you what to say?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Oh, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Woo. All
Actually, I
righty.
don't need to, I'm sorry. I think I'd like to keep Mr. Schmidt under subpoena just in case tomorrow there are questions. Okay.
Oh, yeah, for the field
Are there
trip.
questions by who?
Well, that's fine.
By the jury? Ma'am, is this your first day in this courtroom? Jurors get to ask questions. Ay, ay, ay. She's got to flap her gums some more here. We're going to zippity doo dah.
So, Mr. Schmidt, you are still under your subpoena, which means you're still subject to the sequestration order. So please be mindful of that and continue to make yourself available for testimony if that's necessary. Okay, so for now, you are free.
Okie dokie. What's up? What are we doing? Do you have anything more for us? Talk to us.
All right, and to my understanding, that is our last witness for today. Is that accurate?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be releasing you shortly. Tomorrow will be a little bit different than normal. We are going to be doing a view of some premises and some other things. It's also a Wednesday, so I have my Wednesday morning docket that will go until 10:30. So we'll try to get started at 10:30, but we won't be doing anything in the courtroom. We get to go on a field trip. So I do have an instruction to read to you regarding that. We will be letting you see the anhydrous ammonia tank where Ms. Warner was discovered, the Warner's Munger Road home and property, and the Paragon Road property, only to help you understand the evidence that has been and is presented in court. You must not consider anything you learn from seeing the tank and properties that was not covered by the evidence admitted in the trial. We will be conducting these site visits tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Please arrive at your normal meeting spot around 10 a.m. We will provide transportation to the premises and returning to the judicial building, and we will also provide you with a lunch. The properties are likely to be muddy, and it's my understanding we may get some snow tonight, so you may want to wear boots and casual clothing and dress for the weather. We will not be spending any time in the courtroom tomorrow. Neither myself nor the attorneys are permitted to speak with you while you are outside the courtroom, as there will not be any court recorder with us. There will be a Michigan State Trooper leading you through the property, but he cannot answer any questions. You will be permitted to bring your notepads and maps. You may not discuss the case with your fellow jurors or anyone else during the site visit. You may not take any photographs or videos with your personal devices. If you have any questions about the logistics of the premises visit, if you know them now, you can write them down now and pass them to the bailiff. Other than that, during the trial, please do not read, listen to, or watch any news reports about the case. Under the law, the evidence that you consider to decide the case must meet certain standards. For example, witnesses must swear to tell the truth, and the attorneys must have the ability to cross-examine them. Because news reports do not have to meet these standards, they could give you incorrect or misleading information that could unfairly favor one side. So to be fair to both parties, both sides, you must follow this instruction.
You're good, YP
We'll see you
Comchick.
tomorrow morning.
So I'm going to pause that for just a moment. I see your questions. So what's wrong with photos? There's nothing wrong with photos, but I will tell you from experience of seeing something in a one-dimensional format compared to seeing it in person, it is very, very different. I am certain it was a sobering experience for the jury in Alec Murdaugh's case to walk those kennels and know where they're walking. This is where Paul was shot, and this is where Maggie was shot, and seeing the actual proximity of how close those two really were, because the photographs, especially in that trial, I remember that being really super impactful for me, watching it and thinking, oh, it's some distance away. And then I cannot remember her name. There was a journalist that was allowed to go on the viewing with the jury. And they went, I think ahead of time or after. They weren't there when the jury was there, but she literally walked it on video, the number of strides that it was from where Maggie's body was resting and compared to Paul's body where it was resting. It gives a perspective that photographs and video can't provide. And so I don't believe it's an advantage to one side or the other, to be perfectly honest. I just think it provides a really good vision and an opportunity for the jury to get a lay of the land. Like, we're looking at this property as like, from the sky, like a sky view. But when you're standing on that property and you see how far away the front of that office is, it looks like it's close when you look at the photographs. But when you're standing there, and they were talking to Dale on the side of that barn, which has the office, it's a long way away. And I think all of that's going to be really important for them to be able to kind of envision where these things took place and how much time it consumed of his evening or evenings in order to get that all accomplished. Let me see if Judge Olsaver has anything else to say. I don't think he does. I think they just fade out for the day. Yeah, they sure do. Okay. We're caught up again. How about that, y'all? So let's talk about scheduling. Before I do that, if you're on the replay crew, thank you so much. I love your comments. Keep commenting to me and letting me know that you are on replay crew. If you are have not hit the like button and left your DNA on my thumbs up, you should probably do that. If you haven't subscribed, good grief, you definitely need to do that. And the judge talked to the press. Did I miss it? Did I miss that? Oh.
We'll see you back tomorrow morning about 10.
I don't think. Not on the Lawn Crime feed. So about the rules of the field trip, possibly on Court TV. But yeah, not here. Court tomorrow. Okay. So back to my scheduling conversation with all of you. We will, WTOL feed. Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for that. So the no court tomorrow day was today. So yeah, that's why I split the days up. So there wasn't any court today, but we finished the court that already took place yesterday. So tomorrow there will be court all day. I will schedule my live stream 6:00 tomorrow. Yes, KS Granny, the field trip was today. We will still do our 6:00 tonight or tomorrow night, Thursday night. And I'll see how much testimony they have tomorrow. Friday is going to be the tricky one. And so you're going to want to make sure you put notifications on for this, because I cannot do a live stream on Friday night. I have real life stuff happening. It's very, very important. I'm getting my nails done. It is my time that I take care of me and do some self-care. So I don't give that up. So Friday night, no live stream. Here's where it's going to be tricky. If I find out at the end of court on Friday that Judge Olsaver is going to do the same thing this next week that he did last week, where there was no court on Monday, we will live stream on Monday night if that is the case. If Judge Olsaver says, see you back here on Monday at 9:30 or 8:30 or whatever it is that they start, then I will do a live stream Saturday morning to cover Friday's court. Does everybody understand that? Tomorrow will be a full day of court. I will be here at 6:00 tomorrow night to cover Thursday's court, which will be day 8. Friday, we're either going to have Friday's testimony Saturday morning, or we will have Friday's testimony Monday evening if there is no court for this particular case on Monday. So, thank you, KS Granny. Jennifer would be good with that, Ms. D. She had her nails done too. It is one of the very few things that I do for myself, only for me. I don't do it for anyone else. I don't ask about anybody. What color should I get or anything? Nope. All me. Nope. It's my time. So, Kelly, we will be here tomorrow. Friday night, no. Saturday morning is a maybe, depending on what happens in court on Friday, what the judge tells us at the end of the day on Friday. If they will have court on Monday, we'll have a Saturday morning live stream. If not, then we will be doing a Monday evening live stream of Friday's testimony. And I'll go through this again tomorrow night so y'all know what's going on. 6:00 tomorrow. As soon as we finish here, I'm going to send the notification out so it will show up on my channel. I will also send it to the Twix so everybody can see it there and catch the link there as well. So, Kelly, we won't have a mod. Oh, well, thank you so much. You'll be out tomorrow speaking at a women's conference with your nails did. Well, good for you. And I do think, don't waste money on your nails. You're over the hill and won't make a difference at this point. Thank you so much for participating. It's always nice when someone uses energy to say something unpleasant. We really, truly appreciate that. And thank you everyone else for hanging out with me this evening. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Like I said, thank you so much. And remember, I do think does not realize this part, that it doesn't cost a penny to be kind. So find someone to do something nice for today if you haven't already. And as always, remember,